A few years ago, our next guest made his stage debut not far from this London Palladium as the Artful Dodger in Oliver. Now, a few years later, many hit albums later, and several drum sets later, he still enchants us, now with his brand of music.
Ladies and gentlemen, the genius from Genesis, whose numbers are always a revelation, Mr. Phil Collins.
You keep on walking so you don't fall down. It's the same old story. You keep on hiding so you can't be found. It's the same old story. I know you're the one who ran, and I know why. It's because you can, oh, but that's alright. I don't mind, just trying to help, but I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? My friends keep falling and they can't get up. It's the same old story. One says white, the other one black. It's the same old story. But I don't know why you keep emotions rolled up. Your heart's on your sleeve, but your sleeve is rolled up. But that's alright, 'cause I don't mind. I'm just trying to help, but I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? Things can change from a misunderstanding. Nobody talks, nobody hears. Oh, it makes me wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? You keep on looking for that higher ground. It's the same old story. Glass is empty and the chips are down. It's the same old story. But I don't know why you keep emotions rolled up. Your heart's on your sleeve, but your sleeve is rolled up. But that's alright, 'cause I don't mind. I'm just trying to help, but I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I wonder why. Doesn't anybody stay together?
Our next guest has blazed a new trail in American music. When I think of her, I think of rock and roll with a touch of gospel. This lady has won 3 Grammy Awards and has sold millions of records. Please welcome Amy Grant.
Tell me your friends are distant. You tell me your man's untrue. You tell me that you've been walked on and how you feel abused. So you stand there, an angry young woman, taking all the pain to heart. I hear you saying I wanna see changes, but you don't know how to start. Love will find a way. Do you know? Love will find a way. How can you see? I know it's hard to see the past and still believe love is gonna find a way. Love will find a way. And where you go, love can make a way. Only love can know. So leave behind the doubt. Love's the only out. Love will surely find a way. I know this life is a strange thing. I can't answer all the whys. And tragedy always finds me taken again by surprise. I could stand here an angry young woman, taking all the pain to heart. But I know that love can bring changes, and so we've got to move on. Love will find a way. Do you know? Love will find a way. How can you see? I know it's hard to see the past and still believe that love is gonna find a way. Love will find a way. And where you go, love can make a way. So leave behind the doubt. Love's the only out. God will surely find a way. It's our God, His Son, not spared, came to rescue you. Well, is there any circumstance that He can't see you? Love will find a way. God will find a way. I know it's hard to see the past and to believe God is gonna find a way. God will find a way. And where you go, 'cause love can make a way. So leave behind the doubt. Love's the only out. God will surely find a way. Yeah.
A special appearance by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales when the Royal Gala returns.
Your Royal Highnesses, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, we all know why we're here tonight. We're all here to try and raise as much funds as possible for the Prince's Trust, founded at the express request and design of the Prince of Wales back in 1976. And while it's a relative newcomer, it's already been responsible for the starting of more than 3,000 businesses, which has obviously employed thousands more young people, and the success rate is an astonishing 80% after 12 months. In other words, 80% are still going at the end of that time. And therefore, it's now my great privilege to ask you to welcome to the stage of the London Palladium the founder and president of the Prince's Trust and of the Youth Business Trust. Will you welcome, please, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales.
how grateful I am to David Frost for having suggested the whole thing, for having masterminded it, and for having got us here this evening. He is a remarkable organizer. And I remember years ago watching That Was the Week That Was. I don't know how many of you remember it, but I remember thinking how appalling it was the way he savaged all the people that used to come onto his show. And then it was suggested that he interviewed me in 1969 before a strange thing called my investiture. And I was horrified at the whole prospect of being torn to pieces by this particular gentleman here. In fact, he couldn't have been nicer. And he's gone on being charming ever since. But he has put together this whole show, and I did want to thank very much indeed all those people who come over from the States, especially to entertain us this evening, and, I may say, to make us laugh quite uproariously. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have. And I like to think, as far as they're concerned, that we've been a very good audience. I also wanted just to say a few words about the Prince's Trust, because although I know it's not exactly the right occasion, I am totally convinced that what has happened this evening, as far as the results of this evening are concerned, will make an enormous difference to a whole host of young people, not nearly enough, as far as I'm concerned, whose talents and potential are not always realized. That is what I started the Prince's Trust for, more than anything else, was to try and enable people living in areas where it's not so easy to get started, it's not so easy to find the resources. And in the last 10 or 11 years, I like to think we have got somewhere towards enabling some young people to achieve a great deal. And you, ladies and gentlemen, have helped, is all I can say, towards their particular aspirations and hopes. And I cannot thank you enough, nor all the people in the television companies, the artists, everybody, Mr. Frost, for your assistance tonight. It will make a huge difference, I promise you. Thank you.
When it comes to performers, this astonishing singer is a true inspiration to all of us. He's a valiant crusader for the Prince's Trust. What can I say? Ladies and gentlemen, Elton John.
Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew you at all, you had the grace to hold yourself while those around you crawl. They crawl out of the woodwork and they whisper into your brain. They set you on the treadmill and they make you change your name. Seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. Loneliness was tough, toughest role you ever played. Hollywood creative superstar, and fame was the price you paid. And even when you died, all the press still hounded you. All the papers had to say was that Marilyn was found in the news. a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. I would have liked to love you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew you at all, you had the grace to hold yourself with those around you crawl. Goodbye, Norma Jean, from a young man in the 22nd row who sees you as something more than sexy, more than just our Marilyn Monroe. Seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing, oh, when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. Your legend ever did.
ABC presents a Royal Gala will continue in a moment.